Hi, I'm Joe Carraro. Remember the Cash for Clunkers program? That's what we should name the entire economic recovery program. Our economy certainly hasn't recovered, and the clunkers we've invested in have thrown good money after bad. The best we can say about spending all that cash to create jobs is that it may have saved some government jobs or bailed out some companies, but it just seemed to continue to search out clunkers to invest in. And every time the government invests and explains what good ideas they've come up with, the more it seems like a Ponzi scheme to those of us who can still focus on all the various scams that the government has devised in the past few years. And with all that's going on with our government and the world, there's always a new gimmick to take our minds off of our troubles and make it seem like there's somebody in government that can come up with the perfect solution to make our troubles disappear. And then over time they expect us to forget the past wasteful ideas as they propose something newer and more costly, but sound eerily like the past programs, with the average citizen being hoodwinked into believing that somehow they benefited by the actions of government. So let's revisit the original Cash for Clunkers program so we don't forget, and to see if they are all beginning to sound alike. Now, who was it that came up with that brilliant idea to begin with, the Cash for Clunkers program? Was it the auto industry that we bailed out? The rich environmentalists who wanted to get rid of those unsightly cars off the roads? Or was it those financing companies that thought that it was a way to make a quick buck, similar to those mortgage lenders that were thinking as they pushed for everybody to buy a house? It was probably that entire group of special interests and then some, who had an easy sell to those in the Obama administration and Congress, since with everything going bad, they can make it appear to be a way to help those back home feel good and somehow stimulate the economy. How do we fall for all this crap? You would think we could have learned our lesson watching our economy almost go into total collapse because of such thinking just a few years before. So then we had people thinking or being told that they were driving clunkers. Chances are these folks were just average Joes and Janes out there, barely paying their bills, with doom and gloom facing them in the future because of all this government spending. So they had an opportunity to get about $3,000 for the car that was sufficient to get them back and forth to work every day if they bought a much more expensive car that would put them further into debt. We always fall for those shiny new things. These are the same car owners who were mindful of the cost of gas and were limiting their driving to make ends meet. Now they're paying more money to financing companies, licensing fees, and taxes, taking more of their disposable income out of the economy while probably paying for a foreign car. And now they have more difficulty paying their mortgages and buying other merchandise that could have been provided growth for their communities, since a good portion of their earnings heads to these out-of-state or even out-of-country auto financing companies every single month. But isn't that what happened when the government encouraged people to buy homes who couldn't afford those payments? Of course, this was obviously even more foolhardy, since we know that a car will depreciate, not even have the chance that it will be worth more than when it was purchased. The day they drove that new car off the lot, they were in the same negative equity position they were in with their homes. And since depreciation occurs at a faster pace than the amortization of their loans, chances are they won't have any equity in that vehicle until almost the time their loan is paid off, which usually coincides with the warranty running out and things starting to break down in the car. It's called planned obsolescence. So here we go again, with the government directly involved using our money to encourage more hardship upon the already burdened middle class, when they could have just given everybody a free tune-up. And who was monitoring this great car giveaway, this American car giveaway? Was anybody observing to make sure that those cars were not worth more than the money they were being allowed as a down payment for the purchase of a more expensive car? What about all those parts in those cars, such as airbags, stereo systems, tires, seats, doors, air conditioner, windshields, and a myriad of other valuable parts that make up a car? Were all those things being junked, or were they being taken out before the engine is frozen and sent off to clunker heaven? It would be a shame if all those things were wasted, but it would be a bigger shame if those unsuspecting traders were not giving the full value for their clunker, while somebody else made a profit on their parts, which we know started happening as soon as the first car was traded in. There has to be someone in our government that says, enough is enough. Let's stop with the schemes and scams that just deflect the root cause of our problems. Overspending by the government. Stop this selective spending of our money, bailing out another segment of big business while the average Joe and Jane are saddled with an uncertain future. And chances are, when it comes time to pay for this enormous debt we are accumulating, all that will be left to a future generation to pay the bill will be what then will be called a clunker with a lot of depreciation, wear and tear, and probably a balance still owed. I wonder what they'll get in on for a trade. It's unbelievable. So when you look at why our economy hasn't rebounded like it should, with all the money that was pumped into it by the government, it's because just about the only thing that was guaranteed to increase with each of these government schemes and scams was the personal debt of each one of us. And that's why when our children's children study about this period in schools, if we can still afford to provide them with an education, it will be referred to as the cash for clunkers period of economic decline. So stay alert, folks. I think there's a lot more yet to come. And thanks for listening to An Average Joe.